Today, we have Viktor Chumak, who is a member of Ukrainian Parliament and head of Organized Crime Control and Anti-Corruption Committee of the Ukrainian Parliament. Mr. Chumak just recently came back from Crimea, and we hope that he can give us an update in terms of the events unfolding there, and as well as answer any questions you might have for him. Right after Mr. Chumak's speech and interaction, I'll just give you a brief update in terms of our press briefings for tomorrow. Thank you.
Доброго дня, я Віктор Чумак, я член Українського парламенту, народний депутат, голова комітету по боротьбі з організованою злочинністю і корупцією. І вчора я був в Криму, я сьогодні повернувся з Криму, повернувся з Сімферополя, був в Сімферополі і в місті в поселку Перевальному, і можу, в принципі, дати інформацію про те, що я вчора побачив і що там вчора відбувалося. Ну, я хочу сказати, що на сьогоднішній день там відбувається неприхована така окупація Криму російськими військами. Є в мене фото, яке підтверджує наявність російських військ. Я розмовляв з офіцерами і солдатами російських військ. Зрозуміло, що звідки і хто вони не говорять, хоча з нашим солдатам, які базуються в Перевальному, вони сказали, що це за підрозділ, який військово-повітряна дивізія, яка базується в місті Ульяновську, була перекинута туди до міста Перевального або до поселка Перевального в Сімферополі. Щодо в Сімферополі, то я хотів би сказати, що там блокування військових частин відбувається силами місцевих таких напівкримінальних елементів. Коли я вчора підійшов до прикордонного загону і штабу Азово-Чорноморського регіонального напрямку управління прикордонних військ, то я там не побачив солдат російських військ, але дуже було багато людей, десь приблизно біля сотні людей напівкримінальної зовнішності, які блокували вход і вихід із штабу загону і із штабу територіального управління. Чесно кажучи, вигляд цих людей, він дуже жахливий, тому що, в принципі, і одяг,
и внешний вид говорит о
такі асоціальні осередки, які там зберігаються, або
продолжают существовать люди
and probably because of ideas, and they block those offices. What is interesting that every group of people which is blocking those buildings, and they have a commander who is trained quite seriously, who has military training, and one person who's working with them. He's like a political advisor or political consultant, and on ideological part. That person starts negotiations, and that he is responsible for negotiations and for talks, for communication. Ideologically, he encourages those people when they do something, and they met us and they called us fascists, Nazis, something else. When we introduced ourselves, that we were MPs, there were 3 of us. That's how they met us. Tactics of block and tactics of not allowing us to get into the building, not to speak to our military men, etc. In 15-20 minutes of negotiations, they become very aggressive, because when you start talking to them and when you tell them about the situation, they become very aggressive, and they used that medicine, and they took me 2 hours to wash myself. They used brilliant green, and but bureaucrats are there. They are on the service, and about the conditions, I cannot tell you that. We went to a different unit in Simferopol, and there is like managerial troops of armed forces in Crimea. They are there. They are based there. The commander of the corps and the staff, they are in a very good morale, very high morale, and very good training. And people are calm and do their business, mind their business. So they are absolutely calm. They understand the situation. They inform Kiev and the center. They understand it because they have all communication means they need, and to connect with units and platoons. And there are some entrances which were not blocked by those people. Those they had the main two entrances were blocked, but some which were not blocked, people allowed us to get inside, and we could see how they work. And conditions are heavy and very close to combat conditions, because they put barricades near doors and on the floors. They prepared fire extinguishers, furniture to build barricades, but they are absolutely calm. In the state of balanced state, quite realistically they assess the situation. And then we went to Perivane, where there is one of the most trained units, that is a brigade of Coast Guards, a big unit and lots of stuff. I will not give you numbers, but quite a lot of soldiers, equipment, weapons, and everything is there. And I had a meeting with a military man, with officers, exclusively with officers, and it took me more than 2 hours and a half. And they asked questions, and I told them about the situation and what was happening. And officers clearly told us, we will stay here as long as it is needed. Combat training is on a very high level. Also, there is a special platoon of airborne platoon there, and which strengthened them. They were there on the training, and they are staying there after these events began. I want to tell you that they are absolutely confident in what they do. No efforts to betray the oath. Both officers and soldiers there, but there are only soldiers on contract there, and there was no effort to betray or to abuse the oath. And they have equipment.
БМП стоять на всіх входах. БМП, так помовити, достатньо серйозна зброя. Стоять на всіх входах, але вони абсолютно чітко розуміють їх завдання. Ми з ними говорили, і головне завдання – це жодного застосування.
Основное
is not to use force by any means by our side, and first of all, nobody will use force by ourselves. And I talked to some militaries from Russia, and I approached them, and I talked to the Russians. I talked to the Russian military, and it's understandable that to identify the Russian troops, that's impossible. They don't say they are Russian troops. Who are we? They don't comment. We don't comment their comments. Are you gonna shoot? No, we're not gonna shoot. Where are you from? No. Can I say the guys over there? I said, and they're the same competent guys as you. Can I see there's such plucky guys, and they're not breaking their oath. And why are you here? And we're to protect them from whom? From whom? And then here comes the point. Here comes the dither, because it's the greatest problem. Who to defend from who? Because everybody has heard about some sort of scary nationalists that are supposed to come over from some sort of faraway west side, but nobody has seen them yet in Crimea. So there was never in the world such a case in Crimea that that somebody might come over from some side and do provocations. Because yes, the provocations are possible. Because it was like a couple of days ago, somebody tried to procure some Ukrainian uniform. And that's the uniform that Ukrainian soldiers, the Ukrainian military wear, that might potentially be used for provocations. And speaking about the situation in Simferopol, the city lives a normal city life, routine life, though that creates some sort of dissonance to opposition to all the events unfurling there. And it seems to me that there are very many people that are that are settled, that are tuned in the Ukrainian way. They approached us and asking us what is going on, because Crimea has never been any position, any place as a concentration of Ukrainian military, of the Ukrainian military on something else, and that was our issue. Because yesterday I took part in Lilia Budgerova talk show, and she works on ATR channel, and there was an interactive polling there in place. So it's understood that it's possible not only for the Crimeans to go online and take part in the polling, but there was a really grand slam. There was a great victory that they won whether to go into Russia or not. In terms of a future referendum. So there was a victory of Ukraine, which was a really grand slam victory, and most probably it's rather 50-50, and though in the city of Sevastopol the situation is slightly different. Sevastopol, Kerch, and Feodasia, where there are concentrations of the retired, of pensioners from naval and army pensioners that are still staying, and they're ex-citizens of the Russian concentration. And there's a big concentration that is likely to insist that Crimea goes into Russia. But again, I would like to announce that in my opinion, the continental Crimea, the great part of the Tatar population and the Majlis, and yesterday we heard the statements they made, and as to the self-proclaimed referendum, all the Tatars really made their statements yesterday. And I just would like to say that quite indignantly, but there's very honorable behavior of the 1st Battalion, Marine Battalion of Feodosia, that's equipped with modern equipment, modern machinery, and they have the best qualification because they took part in practically all the maneuvers with the NATO military people, and the commander demonstrates is keeping up real good, and two Russian admirals and generals really pleaded with him, their commander, the Marine commander, to flip over to like Crimean people, as they said. But the personnel and the commander actually are saying that they will be true to the Ukrainian oath, to the oath they gave to Ukraine, and they will never leave the military campus town. That's I might say is I need to say is the most powerful military compound out of those available in Crimea. All the 22 compounds in Crimea today have made their statements that there will be no compound that will flip over or change their oath or step down, and they're at pains, and they feel really hard, morally hard, and mentally hard. Sometimes they need special communication media. Sometimes they need support, some sort of other help and support, because one needs to recognize there's a provisional front line that runs through their residential facilities with their families that they're undergoing never-ending psychological pressure with their children and live there, and they're posing too many questions on what to do next. That's the kind of support they are badly needing today, and that's the overall situation, I need to say. But if we speak about the situation that is with the rest of the population and on the streets, I was approached by many people at the airport as well, and the people approached me and asked me what to do with that referendum, and it's not to be recognized. It's not going to be legitimate. I told them, but to actually to make them work actively, it takes some sort of consolidation around some pro-Ukrainian forces. But very unfortunately, I'll tell you what, that in that over the 23 years, there's too many points of consolidation, and southern Crimea is northern Crimea is like Krasnoperkovsk, Armyansk are totally Ukrainian, and on the people I spoke to, and I talked to the border guards and to the other guards, and the people are very much Ukrainian minded there. So hopefully we will see some sort of statements and announcements from there, from north. And here is the deal. Here is the rundown that I've seen in person, because it was yesterday that I was in Crimea. I'm ready to take your questions.
Антон Пшеничный, телеканал «Бизнес».
Business Channel, you told about that Ukraine, there are bands of formations, paramilitary formation. They storm our Ukrainian military units. What should be a direction from armed forces of Ukraine? And I understand when Russian military men storm our units, so you don't need to provoke. You have to be very calm. But if unknown terrorists, for example, I will go and storm a unit and nobody will touch me? No, the situation is a little bit different. I understand you. Very good question. You see, Russian armed forces do not attack our units. They stand on this, they hold the second line. But provocations and attacks, last night there were no attacks, but provocations of such attacks done by those people. But those are civilians, and it's clear if to take the law and the statute of guards and the statute of military state, which defines their behavior, no doubt to use. They have all the reasons to use machine guns. But we know quite well that that's exactly they push us to that provocation. So the use of weapons against peaceful people, against civilians, by military men of Ukraine, by our sailors, that can bring to certain relative reaction of Crimea, that there is a need to enlarge military presence in Crimea, in Donetsk, and also in Luhansk, etc., in Chernihiv, anywhere. Because they will say, oh, you see, our Russian died. And to protect Russians, this is what we do. That's why, no doubt, military men don't allow attacks on the territory of military units. Until now, they push out those people, but they know quite well that if they use weapons against them, they will use weapons also. But we hope that it will not come down to that, because people, they are scared, they lost their feeling with the reality. When you see someone with a machine gun on the street or around these military units and unknown people, you don't know to whom they belong. That doesn't add optimism and good mood. That's why mentally the situation where they are present is not very good. The situation is not very good, but at present quite good. Crimeans organize very good communication service, and about all transportations, movements of forces, of capabilities, people, it becomes known online. So I received a message that there is a news that Constitution says that he is called from the whole Ukraine and tells that he should protect Russians. Maybe it's time to bring green caskets. It's a provocation. Helmets, blue helmets. It's a provocation. And no, there's a campaign. It's a campaign to provide to support their existence, because you know that when yesterday it shows that they are afraid, because they started the day before yesterday, they started to pull away Russian troops from Ukrainian units. Those unknown or unidentified military men, they started to pull back. But the day before yesterday, Mr. Guhubarev in Donetsk was arrested, and some other personalities. And that was the motivation that Russia that stopped withdrawal of those Russian, because they understand if there is no support of Russian armed forces, if they unblock all the military units, all 5 battalions of Ministry of Interior, they don't move to Crimea, and those they were here on Maidan. They keep their oath. This is a paradox. But I spoke to representatives of Ministry of Interior. They told that all 5 battalions are there.
International Business Times. I know that the country in this critical moment has other priorities, especially when regarding its territorial integrity. But my question is, even though it may not be as urgent as saving the Crimea, I understand that there's a lot of uphill work to do regarding corruption in the Ukraine, which has been hobbling the country and which has brought it to this situation given the massive corruption of the previous government. So can you discuss, if anything, if you have started developing plans to tackle this issue? Thank you.
Ви знаєте, я хочу вам сказати, що
The plan of corruption fight, we started to develop when we were elected to the parliament, and not yesterday. But that plan could be realized only when there is a political will, because corruption is such a thing you can fight against. You cannot fight against if you don't have political will. During the preparation to sign an association agreement in May, we passed 4 laws, which changed absolute anti-corruption legislation. Anti-corruption, let's say, legislation of Ukraine by 90%. Anti-corruption legislation of Ukraine. And at present, the legislation on corruption fight gives an opportunity to reduce the corruption level. I don't want to say that we can overcome it. It's impossible. You understand that. But we can reduce it by many folds. At present, we have some more draft laws registered in the parliament, and they are about the transparency of state procurements, about the state budget and the use of the budget and state registers. All those things which reduce corruption. So they kill reasons of corruption. You can write laws, many laws, how to punish for corruption. But if you don't know reasons, if you don't know the foundation, if you don't take away that foundation for corruption, then you will never handle this fight. You will never reduce corruption. So we do all of that. We are doing it. And we have draft laws on Anti-Corruption Bureau. And that should be the main investigation body on prosecution of investigation of corruption, and I speak about top level and also strategy document for corruption fight. We prepare that too. In our committee, we cooperate with civic organizations, with NGOs. We have expert council, and 30 people are working, and they are from different NGOs, and they are professional on corruption fight, on how to fight corruption, and how you can act against corruption. We have very good cooperation with those NGOs, and also we have a special section which works on drafting laws. So we coordinate all work related to laws drafting. We coordinate that with them. So, and as a result of we prepare expertise, and as a result, during the last 5 months, we turned back from about 30 drafts which had a corruption component in themselves, or risks, corruption risks. So this expert group, they developed those laws that I told you about anti-corruption and corruption fight bureau. So we'll decide how to call that organization. We have a group of investigators, analytical staff, and who do investigation of corruption and corruption abuses related to corruption. And Vitaly Shabunin, a Ukrainian journalist, he is the head of that group, and Andrei Marusov also is in that group. They are journalists who do investigation, and some experts, and they found out all the bank accounts which were provided to Switzerland, Austria, and to other countries, and they are related to Yanukovych, Azarov, Kliyev, Zakharchenko, etc. That is the group which investigated and openly spoke about corruption of those guys. With the help of these people, during a year, we stopped tenders for 400 million hryvnia with corruption risks. So this is we're working on a corruption fight, and since this time we can put some obstacles for corruption activity. And you are correct, and that is probably the main task of this government. So we need to reduce corruption level, and not just to reduce it, but we should create conditions that people should feel it. People should believe that we can fight corruption. We can reduce it. Thank you.
Financial Times. Every new government in Ukraine has promised to fight corruption. I think 4 or 5 prime ministers in a row have said the same. Why do you think that this time it will be different?
Я, по-перше, хочу вірити в це.
First of all, I would like to believe in that. And secondly, I would like to say that I understand Ukrainians is a very interesting nation, and to commit a mistake, it's our sports, but it's enough to commit faults, and the same faults. So we understand well, if we don't do what we promised, if we don't meet promises and what people wanted when they were here on Maidan, then that parliament will be also surrounded with tires. They will just burn it.
Stéphane Sioran, reporter for Le Figaro. Another issue which is connected to anti-corruption is lustration, and UDA party and Svoboda party made a proposal for a law on lustration on the 24th of February, and I wanted to know what is the ongoing process of this law at the Verkhovna Rada, and when will it be passed at the parliament? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm lucky because this is the first time when I was elected MP. I was a civic activist. I was in NGO. That's why all NGO activists who speak about lustration, corruption, they know them quite well, or many of them are my friends. So it's easier to work in this direction. And we have very close cooperation with the Lustration Committee, which is run by Yehor Sobolev. And we understand the lustration is a very delicate thing. It's not a hammer, you know. You cannot. It's not. You can not use a hammer here. This is a very thin knife. The edge is very thin. You cannot use it like an axe or a hammer. You cannot throw people around. That's why lustration should. For lustration, there should be clear, transparent criteria which will be approved by the society. The law on lustration is not the one which should be written on your knees and brought to the parliament. No, it requires very serious discussions. We need to define criteria, and also we should get back the feedback of the society, whether the society respects and accepts criteria, and if the society is happy with them. So with Yehor, we are preparing that law. We had meetings, we discussed it, and they are right in the draft. And because we are interested in that, we will help them as well as we can.
Дуже дякуємо.
Thank you very much.
Just a brief update about tomorrow's meetings again. So at 11 o'clock on Saturday at Ukraine Crisis Media Center, we will have Andrei Deshchitsa. He's the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. He will give us the update in terms of the Ukraine's official diplomatic stance on the unfolding events. At 12 o'clock, we have Dmytro Yarosh, leader of the right sector, here at Ukraine Crisis Media Center. At 13:00, we will have the Ambassador Simon Smith, who will talk about the UK stance. As you might have heard, starting today, UK has introduced a number of sanctions towards Ukrainian officials. At 14 o'clock, we're still waiting for confirmation from Olesa Orobets. She's a member of Parliament of Ukraine, and she has recently announced that she will be running for the seat of the mayor of Kyiv, waiting for confirmation from her. And at 15 o'clock, we will hear and see and voices and faces of Euromaidan, as some of you have expressed the willingness to see more of the leaders and civic leaders of Maidan. We will have Miss Ukraine, Ms. Chkivska, who was the head of Maidan's NEED portal and has run it for the past 3 months. We will have Lana Sinichkina. She's a partner at law firm, but she was one of the first people to set up a running hospital at Euromaidan. And we will also hear from Inga Vishnevska. In normal life, she's the PR director of Ukrainian Fashion Week, but she will share her experience of spending 3 months on Euromaidan. So this is the schedule for tomorrow. We'll look forward to seeing everybody at 11 o'clock, and have a nice rest of the day today. Thank you.